Hi guys, and welcome back to another video game powers. I'm Jake, and in today's video I'll be giving you guys an overview and talking about my first impressions of the board game Kur-Nu-Gi, coming to you from REDIMP Games. Now I do want to give a huge shout out to REDIMP Games for giving us a prototype copy of this game to go ahead and play test and showcase on our channel. Thank you guys so much, we truly do appreciate it. Kur-Nu-Gi is coming to Gamefound sometime very soon. If you guys are interested in this game, please go ahead and check the link down in the description here, which will take you to the Gamefound campaign page. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump right down to the table. I'll give you an overview of how the game plays, some of the mechanics, and talk about the game in general. And then we'll be back up top here to give you guys my first impression and my first experience getting this to the table for the very first time. All right, guys, so we're down here at the table for what would have a setup here, what would be a setup of a two-player game. Now, the overall premise of Kur-Nu-Gi is you are taking on the role of a suffering soul, and you are trying to escape from this Sumerian underworld. And so you are going to have a escape point track over here that you're going to be collecting throughout the game. And how are you going to accomplish this objective? Well, you are going to have the ability to erect temples, okay? Erect some temples to your particular gods that you want to become in favor with. You are going to discover kind of your own identity as you are moving through this underworld. You can gain the favor of the particular gods themselves by making sacrifices during what's called lamentation time, and a bunch of different other things that you're going to be doing. Now, the primary mechanics of this game is going to be worker placement / dice placement. So you will have a player board here, and you will have some shadows. You'll have some miniatures that are called shadows, and you will be putting out these shadows in this particular area here, or there's a spot in each of these particular altars in the middle here where you will be able to put these different shadows to take different actions. So that's kind of the worker placement aspect of the game. You're also going to have some dice, and these are called sacrificial dice, and these actions that you take here are going to allow you to manipulate this dice, roll more dice, or place dice out here in these particular altars, okay? And so those are going to be some actions that you will take on what is called a normal turn. When you get down here, if you look at my hand right here, or my finger down here in the bottom right hand corner, there will be something called lamentation time, and whenever this turn track, you will have two normal turns, and then you'll go into what is considered a special turn, okay? A special turn will play a little bit just like the normal turn would be. You'd gain some resources, but however, this time it would allow you to move your soul in between these different altars here, and what you're trying to do in this particular turn is have the highest amount of lamentation strength between either your soul, dice, if you were to put a shadow out here, okay? Whoever has the highest strength in one particular altar is going to be the victor of that altar, and then you would be able to claim some of these particular bonuses depending on how many people are in said altar. So if only there's one person, that person would gain one escape point. If there are two people in there, the first place winner would get 3, and then so forth and so on. So that's kind of the main objective there, is to kind of use 2 turns of worker placement and dice placement to kind of set up your strength and majority in these 5 different altars. And then every third turn, when you get to this particular phase, you're gonna go altar by altar, and whoever has the highest amount of strength from your soul, your shadow, your dice, or whatever, you are going to then get escape points for that. Then also, you have particular boxes that are associated with each altar, and you have these little markers that if you are the person that has the highest lamentation strength, you will be able to claim a particular bonus for these altar. And once all 4 of these bonuses are claimed, that is, you cannot claim any more bonuses. Now, in a 2-player game, you'll see a third soul is out there, so you will have a neutral soul, and this guy will kind of be battling with you for kind of favor of this. And so that's just a small little setup here that's going to be in regards to a 2-player game. But there's a lot of other things that are in the game. You guys will be able to get these identity cards here to get extra bonuses, and it's kind of cool how these identity cards kind of match up, so you can kind of see how they combine to give you guys different bonuses. So, you know, 2 gold, or Vril, they call it in the game, and then 1 escape point immediately by combining these. So you can hold up to 4 identity cards, so that's something here. You can also pray, I believe it's the thematicness of it is pray to the gods or make a sacrifice to the gods to get one of their influence cards. And so you can spend some cash or some Vril in order to take one of these particular actions during the lamentation time. So there's this influence action here that's going to allow you to place one of your markers on wherever the altar of the gods you are in. And then during that lamentation time, if you have the cash, you can use this one-time ability. That is pretty much the overall premise of the game, guys, is you are taking these shadows here, using these shadows on your particular player board to worker placement, put them in worker placement spots. Some of these worker placement spots, like I said, influence is going to be in regards to this. You have an identity spot by paying 5 Vril to claim an identity card. These invocation cards are going to allow you to manipulate dice as well as ritual and manipulation over there. And then the Path of the Shadows and Path of the Soul is in your particular player board. You have a track. So they go in opposites of each other. So the higher the strength of your soul, the lower the strength of your shadows. The higher the strength of your shadows, the lower the strength of your soul is. So you have the option to move up and down this track to increase the strength of your soul or your shadows when they are in here with these particular altars. And the end of the game is going to be triggered when somebody has met at least one condition on one of these particular tracks here. So if somebody's lamentation strength is 10, 23 escape points, 17 escape points, and 0 sacrificial dice on their board, win a lamentation time in every tomb. Okay, one of those conditions have to be met, and then one of these conditions have to be met as well. Shadow's lamentation strength equals 10, 20 escape points and 4 identity cards, 20 escape points and 7 sacrificial die. Win 3 lamentation times in the tomb where you have a 3rd level altar. Okay, so that is the end of the game, or when the track essentially reaches the 4th, I believe. Let me double check that really quickly. I do believe it is when, I believe it's either the 3rd or the 4th. I want to say it's the 4th. So if either this track reaches the 4th final lamentation time, or at one point somebody has achieved both these. In both my games, guys, I have not managed to reach the complete end of this track. We have, somebody has met both of those scoring conditions by time we've either got to the 3rd lamentation time or prior to that. So that, I believe, is the final end condition of the game. But there's some other things. There's kind of 3 ways to play the game. You have novice, you have, let me get the rule book and actually get the correct terminology for you. So you have novice level, you have priest level, and you have archpriest level. I don't know if you guys can see that. Those are 3 particular ways to play the game. In each of these different ways to play the game, it's going to add a little bit more strategic depth and obviously difficulty. So in that priest level, you're going to add in some demons. Okay, so there are demons that come into the game, and let me show you guys these particular demons right here. So you'll have some demon miniatures, and they will have their own cards associated with them. It's just a kind of different modules, right? You have death triads, you have the demons, you have packs that'll come in on the side of the board down here. So the higher the difficulty, or the higher the level of game that you want to play, the more modules get added in, and obviously the difficulty level is going to rise up. But everything you see here is basically set up for just a novice basic playthrough of the game, and that's what I'm really gonna talk about. But that is Kur-Nu-Gi in a nutshell here, and that is essentially everything you're gonna do in order to play this game. All right, guys, let's go ahead and bring that back up top, and let's talk about my first impressions. Alrighty, well, I hope you guys got to enjoy that overview of the game and got a good understanding of the core of Kur-Nu-Gi and how this one is going to play. Let's jump right in talking about my first experience getting this one to the table. And similarly to Unconscious Mind, this game looks like it has a lot going on, right? There's a bunch of symbols, there's a bunch of iconography and all that stuff, and it took me a while to go through the rule book, take a look at all the player aids. They do come with I do like that there's a lot of player aids available to you. So they do have some little player aid cards for you that just goes over the turns and everything that you're doing in the turns. And then they have this particular player aid sheet right here that on one side gives you all of the worker placement actions. On the back, it kind of talks about the end game scoring conditions and everything like that. So this one did take a while for me to kind of understand and grasp the concepts of the game. Really, it took me just saying, screw it, I'm not gonna sit here and read through this whole rule book. I'm just gonna start at the turns and how the turn structure works, and I'm just gonna take a turn and I'm just gonna dive in to really kind of understand how everything works. And once you do that, it's actually not as complex as you guys might think it is. Like I said, the turn phase is broken down into 6 different particular phases, right? So you have the gaining resource, or there'll be 6 if you play in advance. It's 5 really. So you'd have gain your resources. So people are going to gain your resources. You can do this simultaneously. You are going to have your planning phase, which is essentially your worker placement with those shadows. So everybody gets 3 shadows. You guys will take turns based upon an initiative track. And so you can either place a shadow or take one of those initiative markers to be higher up on the turn order list the next round. But you're going to take those turns placing those shadows down, okay? And then you have the action phase after that, where you're going to remove your shadows from the board and you are going to gain those particular actions. And what's really cool about these actions is some of these actions allow you to gain money by taking that particular action as well. So there are going to be times where you feel strapped for that currency, but there are going to be a lot of times where you have an abundance of that currency and you can be able to do different things. And so I like how there's this good balance, right? It never feels like I'm always strapped for currency all the time. There are times where I can just amass a lot of currency, and that currency is used for things to get identity cards, upgrade your altar, basically gain more dice. But I think like they make those things accessible to everybody trying to get a mass amount of currency. So I really do enjoy that. But that's that action phase. So you're pulling those shadows out and taking those actions. And then if the initiative has changed, you're going to put those initiative markers back down on its spot and then reflect the turn order. And then you're going to move that turn marker down. So it's pretty easy. And like I said, in each of those individual actions, you are doing things with dice as well. So you're going to roll dice. You can manipulate the numbers on the dice. You can place those dice out onto the board. You can take those dice out from the board. So it's really just learning all the available actions that you have to you. In a 2-player game, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different actions that you can take. Now, again, within those 12 different actions, 4 of those actions are essentially going to be the same. So it's not a lot. So really there'd only be 8 particular actions that you can take. So it's just kind of deciding what you want to do. And some of those actions are very simple. You're just moving up your soul or you're moving up your shadow. All that to say, while the game does look like a lot, and it did take me a long time to kind of learn and figure out the game, once I actually started moving through the different turns and got the hang of the game, it actually moves and plays very smoothly and quickly. So really enjoyed the worker placement component with those particular shadows, and then removing them from the board, like being able to choose which action I took at a particular time to change these different actions here and manipulate my dice. And then I do enjoy that dice mechanic of the game as well. The second thing I really enjoyed is I enjoyed these mechanics, and I hinted on it just a couple seconds ago. Worker placement with dice placement, using the dice to gain the strength and things like that. You can also gain favor with these particular gods to get bonuses, and so it's kind of cool where you start off as your player boards, you are essentially a devotee to one particular god, but you don't have to always remain loyal, I guess, to that particular god. You can move around to the different tombs and make sacrifices to these other particular gods, and I really enjoy that they allow you to spread out your influence or trying to gain favor of certain gods to kind of help whatever you can do. Really, it's like, look, I'm a devotee to you, but I'm gonna also try and get everybody else on my side so I can get a lot more escape points to get up out of here, because that's eventually the point of the game. But those are some things I really did enjoy about the particular game is the mechanics itself, the ease of play once you actually jump into it. Again, it kind of reminds me a lot of Unconscious Mind, where you're looking at this, it's a pretty big board, you got all these symbols and iconography and all these different things, and like it's very overwhelming, and I was overwhelmed at first just looking at all this stuff. But once I really dove into the actual game and understood the mechanics, like it actually went very smooth. Some of the other things, like I do enjoy the miniatures. The miniatures look pretty nice. The components are pretty decent. You know, you got end game scoring conditions. I think the overall premise of the game is easy to get where you need to go, and it does say an hour to 2 hour playtime on here. Look, guys, I really found this game to be about an hour playthrough at 2 players. Like I said, they have a bunch of different other modules. Probably when you add in those other modules, it's going to extend the length of the game, but in that novice mode with only 2 players, game moved very smooth and very quick as well. Definitely want to try out the solo mode and see how that goes, and see if hopefully I can get this one at a higher play count and get all that content for you. But this is my first experience with Kur-Nu-Gi. You guys know I'm a huge fan of mythology, and I love this unique theme to a game like this where you guys are trying to escape the Sumerian underworld. Definitely had a great experience with this one, and I'm excited to dive more into the game and try out some of these other modules, bring in the demons and stuff like that, and see how all that works. But if you guys enjoyed this content, smash that like button, hit that notification bell. Drop down in the comments below, what are your guys' thoughts on this game so far initially from what I've said? Does this interest you? And last but not least, if you are not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more awesome content. Remember, if you guys are interested in this game, check the link in the description below, take you to the Gamefound campaign page where you can check out all things Kur-Nu-Gi. All right, guys, y'all have a great one. Bye.